Okay, we call the meeting of the Joint Subcommittee on Public Safety, Natural Resource Transportation to order. Would the committee secretary please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Miller. Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno. Assemblywoman Peters. Assemblywoman Titus. Assemblywoman Tolles. Senator Brooks.
Here.
Senator Guaycachia.
Here.
Chair Dennis.
Here, thank you. All right, it's a lot easier now when we're in here that you can mute because you got the mute button there, but just remember to stay muted. And for, of course, all of those that are online, when you're not talking, and also, let's see, this is a different setup here. For those that do give comments when we do public comment, you can summarize and read those, and they would be, and you could also submit them written. Okay, with that, if you do wish to give public comment, there is that process you have to go through to register, and so we appreciate that. Today we have three budgets to hear, or budget accounts: the Department of Veteran Services and the Department of Public Safety. Actually two, I don't know how to count. So with that, we're going to go ahead and begin with the Department of Veteran Services, and I believe Ms. Day is going to do that, these first budgets.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. For the record, Stephanie Day, Fiscal Analysis Division. There are three budgets for the subcommittee's consideration this morning for the Department of Veteran Services that were heard on March 24th. The first is the Office of Veteran Services, which can be found on page 3 of your closing packet. There are no major closing issues in this budget. There are 4 other closing items that appear reasonable to staff. Fiscal staff recommends that this budget be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary. And I would be happy to answer any questions the subcommittee may have.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Ms. Miller, do you have a question? Or are you ready? You're ready to give a, okay, let's see any other questions. Okay, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that to follow the recommendations from fiscal staff that this budget be closed as recommended by the government and request authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
That was
Second.
And so we have a motion from Ms. Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next budget is the Southern Nevada Veterans Home, which can be found on page 5 of your closing packet. The Southern Nevada State Veterans Home is located in Boulder City. It is a 180-bed facility. As of yesterday, the census for the home was 132 residents with a wait list of 32. Of the 32, 6 will be admitted at the end of April, with an additional 9 in May. The home is working on the balance of the applications, and the home is currently 100% COVID-19 free. There is one major closing issue in this account. The chiller replacement project was due to the failure of one of the home's 2 chillers, which has required the rental of a temporary chiller. A request for the replacement of the chiller system at the home, including the replacement of the failed chiller and the remaining operable chiller, was approved by the Interim Finance Committee on January 27, 2021 to expedite the project. Therefore, this recommendation would be duplicative and is no longer necessary. In a follow-up response to questions from committee members, the department indicated that the design phase of the project is approximately 50% complete, and which would be followed up by the request for proposal process and a vendor selection by July 2021. The anticipated construction start date is October 25th, 2021, with a completion due by January 23rd, 2022, since the equipment cannot be torn apart during the summer months. Fiscal staff would recommend the subcommittee to not approve Decision Unit E731 since the chiller replacement project was approved by the Interim Finance Committee on January 27th, 2021, and I would be happy to answer any questions the subcommittee may have.
Do we have any questions? Senator Goicoechea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And as I remember in the hearing now, we have 2 chillers that are presently being leased, I believe. And so other than just the economic impact, it shouldn't interfere with the operation of the building, other than just going to cost us a little bit more in the short term for the lease. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
Thank you. So that was going to be my question. We have 2 chillers that are currently leased, so we're going to put one in, and we're going to keep the other leased. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Stephanie Day, Fiscal Analysis Division. When the chiller replacement project is complete, both of the chillers will be replaced, the one that has failed and the new one, and the currently operating one. There will be a chiller that will be rented until that project is completed.
Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you very much. Any other questions? If not, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the subcommittee does not approve Decision Unit E731 since the chiller replacement project was approved by the Interim Finance Committee on January 27, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion by Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, we'll go to the next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Stephanie Day, Fiscal Analysis Division. There are 4 other closing items in this budget. Number 4 is a technical adjustment. The department provided updated revenue projections on March 17th, which are detailed in the table on page 7, which result in net reductions to revenues of $3.7 million in fiscal year 2022 and $5.2 million in fiscal year 2023. Fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to update the revenues as detailed in the table, which appear reasonable to staff. Fiscal staff recommends that other closing items 1 through 3 be closed as recommended by the governor, and other closing item 4 be closed as a technical adjustment, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move that other closing items 1 through 3 be closed as recommended by the governor, and other closing item 4 be closed as a technical adjustment, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
We have a motion by Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Stephanie Day, Fiscal Analysis Division. The last budget for the subcommittee's consideration this morning for the Department of Veterans Services is the Northern Nevada Veterans Home, which is located on page 9 of your closing packet. It is located in Sparks. It is a 96-bed facility. As of yesterday, the census of the home was 89 residents with a wait list of 13. The home is currently working on all of the applications, and this home is also 100% COVID-19 free. There are no major closing issues in this account. There are 2 other closing items. The second one is a technical adjustment. The department provided updated projections on March 17th. While the updated revenue projections are consistent with the amounts included in the executive budget, the contract costs included in the adjusted base budget inadvertently excluded management fees. Fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to reduce reserves by $711,590 in fiscal year 22 and $728,668 in fiscal year 2023 to appropriately reflect the contract funding levels required in the 2021-23 biennium, which appears reasonable to staff. Fiscal staff recommends that this budget be closed as recommended by the governor with the noted technical adjustment and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary. And I would be happy to answer any questions on this budget.
Any questions? Assemblywoman Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry I didn't catch this during the original hearing on this budget item. The Northern Nevada Veterans Home is a new building that we supported over the last couple sessions, and it looks like it's doing very well. It's a 96-bed facility, however. It's occupied by 89 folks now with a 13-person wait list. Is there a plan to expand it to full capacity of the 96 beds?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Dr. Titus, Stephanie Day, Fiscal Analysis Division for the record. Yes, there are currently 13 applications. There are 13 individuals on the wait list, and the department is, or the home is currently working on all 13 of those applications.
All right, so if they are all accepted, that's going to put it over, that'll be 100, just I'm looking at the math there, and that'll be 102, but it's 96 beds, so just kind of do the math for me on that one. And why is it not full, why isn't 96 folks there with a wait list? That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Thank you. For the record, Stephanie Day, Fiscal Analysis Division. Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to Dr. Titus. With the COVID pandemic, they're actually working through the applications that had been received, but with the COVID pandemic, they, I believe they were
Did they have to?
not working.
I think I'll help you. They had to use like single rooms as opposed to double occupancy. Is that what happened?
Thank you. For the record, Stephanie Day, Fiscal Analysis Division. The home in Northern Nevada is actually a single bed facility. It is the home that is in Southern Nevada that is currently a double bed facility. And Kat Miller from the department is actually available if you would like the department to talk about the current wait list.
Yeah, please, because if it's not a double bed issue and you're supposed to have 96 beds and you only have 89, what's the holdup on, is it potential there to fill all those beds? We'll still have a wait list if I'm just doing the math correctly. I'm sorry, I just like clarification. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, so if we could have Ms. Miller clarify.
Kat Miller for the record. Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair, through you to the Assemblywoman. Ms. Day is absolutely correct. We do have a wait list of 13 applications right now for the Northern Nevada home. We were closed for admission because of the outbreak. Once it opened, we accepted the applications, and then we received quite a few of them. In order to process the applications, we have to do a number of things to determine their eligibility, work with the family member to find adequate pay sources, and we won't. All of the people that come into the facility are not long-term care. About a third of our folks that come into our veterans homes are short-term care. They may have just had a surgery, had a heart condition, had an accident and broke a leg. And so we do have many folks that might just come for 6 weeks and then leave. So it doesn't mean that because we have, when you add up our current number of 98 and add 13, yes, that would exceed our 96. But many of the folks that are in the home right now will be discharged because their short-term stay has been successful and they can go back home. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. The closed for admission was the key component there. You weren't able to take new patients, and I understand that. I know there's a constant turnover, and some of yours are long-term, some of yours are skilled. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question and the clarification.
Thank you. Do we have any other further questions?
Chair, I move that this budget be closed as recommended by the governor with the noted technical adjustment and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay, let's go on. Ms. Day, on the next, actually, as we move forward here, if you could go ahead and just go through both items, including I think this one has, the other closing items. So if you'll do them all at once, we'll just do one motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next set of accounts will be handled by Karen Hoppy.
Thank you. I meant to look, Ms. Hoppy. So I'm sure you heard what I just said. If you could just go ahead and go through both of them, and then we'll just do one motion at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and for the record, this is Karen Hoppy, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Today, we'll be walking through 6 budgets from the Department of Public Safety and the Fire Marshal Division and the Office of Traffic Safety Division. The first one is on page 11 of your closing packet, and this is the Fire Marshal budget. There is one major closing issue. The governor recommends fee and transfer revenues of $176,278 over the 21-23 biennium for a new Plans Examiner 2 position and associated expenditures. The agency indicates additional staff is needed within the inspections and plan review function of the division's Fire Protection Engineering Bureau to conduct fire and life safety plan reviews. The agency has experienced delays in plan review turnaround times, which has caused a delay in construction start and completion times. According to the agency, the Bureau has an average turnaround time from project submittal to initial review of approximately 30 days, while other local fire marshal agencies within the state average a 10-day turnaround. The agency indicates that the delay within the Bureau review times has caused a delay in construction starts and completion times, resulting in delayed openings in schools, businesses, state buildings, and healthcare facilities. The budget currently has one authorized plans examiner position, and this decision unit recommends a second position, a plans examiner 2. Fiscal staff would note that previously this budget funded 3 permanent plans examiner positions, which were reduced to 1 position for the 2009-11 biennium during the Great Recession. Since that time, plan review fee revenues have steadily increased, supporting the agency's indication that workloads have grown. During the March 9th budget hearing, the subcommittee was interested in the consequences experienced by the fire marshal from delayed plan review turnaround times. With the approval of the new position, the agency indicated it would anticipate a significant decrease in turnaround time, which would lessen delays for construction and result in more fee revenue for this budget. So the decision for the subcommittee under this major issue: does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of the governor's recommendation for a new plans examiner 2 position in the Fire Protection Engineering Bureau? And Mr. Chair, moving on to other closing items on page 14. The table reflects 6 other closing items recommended by the governor, which appear reasonable to staff. Staff notes number 7, a technical adjustment to the base budget. A reserve category must be established to authorize the budget to balance forward excess fee revenues to the next fiscal year to enable the budget to have sufficient cash to begin operations on July 1. Fiscal staff has included a technical adjustment to establish the reserve category and also to increase the fee revenue projections for the 21-23 biennium, adjusted for the higher fee amounts approved by the Legislative Commission at its February 26, 2020 meeting. Fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 6 be closed as recommended by the governor, and other closing items 7 be closed with the noted technical adjustment, and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
All right, thank you. Questions? Assemblywoman Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for presenting the budget. I appreciate that. I just think that I'm supportive of adding the new plans examiner. Delaying construction from 10 days in Clark County to 30 days because you need the extra person is, that's just important to solve that problem. There shouldn't be those kind of delays. And I'm just interested that if it's okay with the chair, that if we do okay this position, wondering how long it will take to fill it, and then if we could have a follow-up on making sure that those kind of delays are improved. It's always interesting to know if the choices we make here actually solve the problems for the communities and the construction. So I just worry that, you know, there's kind of things going on in Clark County, and I'm sure there's other issues where things are delayed just because of maybe lack of staffing, and hope that they can fill this position and maybe come back and let us know that some of that's been solved.
Yeah. Thank you. Senator Goicoechea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think as we look at this, clearly we're going to have a new plan checker or plan reviewer. But that just brings us back to the next point. In most of these counties under 100,000, are they going to then be able to do the site visits that are required as well? That truly is a holdup, and I'm very sympathetic to the fire marshal's office when you have to travel all over rural Nevada. But again, we review the plans, and we'll stop that bottleneck, but that'll just create another one, and that's the fact that they cannot get out there. The fire marshal's office won't be able to get out there and actually do those on-site inspections. So, yeah, the fire marshal's got a lot of work in front of them, especially with this growth we're experiencing right now. I anticipate we'll have to increase that budget. Some of their other personnel, we gave them a plan checker, but now we're going to have to actually get some people to get out there and do site inspections as well. So thank you, just very supportive. They need some help. Thank you.
Maybe we can get them a helicopter, then they can just get there faster. All right, any other questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of the governor's recommendation for a new plans examiner 2 position in the Fire Protection Engineering Bureau, as well as to report back the plans to IFC, and for other closing items 1 through 6 to be closed as recommended by the governor, and other closing items 7 be closed with the noted technical adjustment, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
So we have a motion by Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Just a note that we're just adding that report that they report back to the IFC, the progress. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, let's go to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Karen Hoppy, Fiscal Analysis Division. On page 15 of your packet is the next budget for the Highway Safety Planning and Administration. There is one major closing issue. The governor recommends $29,805, of which $2,966 is highway funds, in each year of the 21-23 biennium to fund a salary increase for the Office of Traffic Safety Administrator. The agency indicates that the administrator position is experiencing salary compaction issues, with the Deputy Division Administrator position's compensation regularly surpassing the administrator's salary through paid overtime. Because of the salary compaction issue, the governor recommends increasing the administrator's salary equal to that of the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination Division Administrator, a top annual salary of $117,430. Staff has included a table on page 16, which lays out the unclassified annual salaries for each of the administrator and top management within the department. During the March 13th, 2021 hearing, the subcommittee was interested in how the Department of Public Safety determined the recommended salary level for the Office of Traffic Safety Administrator. The department testified that the Office of Traffic Safety Administrator's duties were commensurate with the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination Administrator duties, and according to the agency, the Office of Traffic Safety Administrator is responsible for 3 budget accounts and a substantial part of the department's federal funding and grants, and should be compensated to the level of similar department positions. The decision for the subcommittee is Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approving the governor's recommendation for $29,805 in each year of the 21-23 biennium to fund a salary increase for the Office of Traffic Safety Administrator? If the salary increase is recommended by the subcommittee, the salary will be reviewed and considered by the money committees for inclusion in the unclassified section of the 21-23 pay bill. Fiscal staff also notes for other closing items in this budget, and fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Okay, questions? Senator Goicoechea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just this morning, I got an email from a lady on that triple fatality on 95 there at Scottish Junction earlier this month. And yeah, no amount of money would make me take this job. Truly, we've got some real issues as far as traffic safety is concerned in this state. And I'd be very, very supportive. We've got thousands of miles of 2 lanes that are safety hazards, and we're going to have to deal with it, especially during the session when we're driving back and forth from here to Vegas or here to Eastern Nevada. We realize just how bad it is. So, yeah, I don't know who wants this job, but compensation is probably not near enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the subcommittee to recommend approving the governor's recommendation for $29,805, $2,966 from Highway Fund in each year of the 2021-23 biennium to fund a salary increase for the Office of Traffic Safety Administrator. If the salary increase is recommended by the subcommittee, the salary will be reviewed and considered by the money committees for inclusion in the unclassified section of the 2021-23 pay bill. Also for fiscal, that all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and request authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
We have a motion by Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to the next budget on page 19 of your closing packet. This is the Motorcycle Safety Program. There are 4 major closing issues here. In preparation for the March 9th budget hearing, fiscal staff identified 2 common themes that created concerns about all 4 major closing issues discussed below. 1, the governor's recommendation to fund enhancements with additional motorcycle safety fee revenue that the budget is unlikely to generate, which could result in budget insolvency. And 2, duplication of costs that are already in the base budget. In response to the concerns expressed by the subcommittee at the budget hearing, the governor's finance office submitted 4 budget amendments, which are described in each major closing issue below. If all 4 budget amendments are approved, fiscal staff's concerns would be resolved. The first major closing issue, the governor recommends motorcycle safety fees revenue of $101,110 in each year of the 21-23 biennium to fund a motorcycle safety media campaign and a contracted outreach coordinator. The media campaign would provide outreach to the public on motorcycle safety and awareness, and a contracted outreach coordinator would manage outreach efforts in Southern Nevada. The first component of this decision unit recommends $85,000 in each year of the 21-23 biennium to hire a marketing vendor to create motorcycle safety and awareness media campaigns. Supporting documentation for the executive budget indicates 2 campaigns are proposed. Fiscal staff would note that the Interim Finance Committee approved authority of $126,000 for fiscal year 2021 for these same media campaigns through a work program submitted for the December 18, 2020 meeting. In response to questions, the agency confirmed that it does not intend to repeat these media campaigns in the upcoming biennium and that the $85,000 should be removed from the recommendation. The second component of this decision unit recommends $16,110 in each year of the 21-23 biennium to fund 812 contracted labor hours per year for an outreach coordinator to manage outreach efforts in Southern Nevada. On March 19th, 2021, the Governor's Finance Office submitted Budget Amendment A214944691, which eliminates motorcycle safety fee revenues of $101,110 and media campaign expenditures of $85,000 in each year of the 21-23 biennium. The amendment funds the remaining $16,110 per year for an outreach coordinator in Southern Nevada with budget reserves. With the amendment, budget reserves appear sufficient at the end of the 21-23 biennium. For major issue 1, does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of budget amendment A214944691 to fund a contracted outreach coordinator in Southern Nevada with budget reserves of $16,110 in each year of the 21-23 biennium, while eliminating $101,110 in motorcycle safety fee revenues and $85,000 in media campaign expenditures as recommended by the governor.
Okay, we're going to do these separate because we got a lot of questions, a lot of information all in one. So any questions on this item? Okay, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I recommend that the committee approves the budget amendment A214944691 to fund a contracted outreach coordinator in Southern Nevada with budget services of $16,110 in each year of the 2021-23 biennium, while eliminating $101,110 in motorcycle safety fee revenues and $85,000 in media campaign expenditures as recommended by the governor.
Second.
We have a motion by Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to major closing issue number 2. The governor recommends motorcycle safety fees revenue of $32,891 in each year of the 21-23 biennium to fund rider coach training for contracted employees who provide training and certification of students for motorcycle courses. Fiscal staff has confirmed with the agency that this decision unit duplicates some costs already included in the base budget and has concerns that this budget may not generate the additional fees revenue required to support these costs. On March 19th, 2021, the Governor's Finance Office submitted Budget Amendment A214964691, which eliminates motorcycle safety fee revenues of $32,891 in each year of the 21-23 biennium and reduces expenditures in the rider training category by $18,422 in fiscal year 2022 and $28,420 in fiscal year 2023. If the budget amendment is approved, this decision unit would fund rider training category expenditures of $14,469 in fiscal year 2022 and $4,471 in fiscal year 2023, funded by program reserves. The decision unit, after the adjustments noted above are accounted for, would fund travel costs for a 15-day certification course for the contracted instructors to be a rider coach training, as well as some in state training. The agency indicates that the motorcycle training program benefits from the contractor receiving educational experience for the work they perform on behalf of the agency. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of Budget Amendment A214964691 to fund training costs for contracted employees with budget reserves of $14,469 in fiscal year 2022 and $4,471 in fiscal year 2023?
Questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of Budget Amendment 2149664-691 to fund training costs for contracted employees with budget reserves of $14,469 in FY 2022 and $4,471 in FY 2023.
We have a motion by Assemblywoman Miller, second by Senator Brooks.
Brooks.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Karen Hoppy, LCD Fiscal Analysis Division. The third major issue on the bottom of page 22 in your packet. The governor recommends registration fees revenue of $12,000 in each year of the 21-23 biennium to support a portion of community college tuition expenditures for students who complete the motorcycle safety class at the college. In addition to the motorcycle safety classes conducted by the agency, 3 community colleges also conduct classes. In past biennia, the motorcycle safety program has subsidized college programs that are unable to cover their costs with student tuition fees. The agency paid $5,460 to Truckee Meadows Community College for tuition subsidies in fiscal year 2020, and this amount is included in the base budget for each year of the 21-23 biennium. Fiscal staff asked the agency for copies of the most recent financial reports from each of the 3 community colleges to show whether the classes are running at a deficit and require a subsidy for the 21-23 biennium. In response, the agency indicated that Western Nevada College and the College of Southern Nevada will not be requesting a subsidy, and that the $5,460 subsidy included in the base budget would be sufficient for Truckee Meadows Community College. The agency has confirmed that Decision Unit E227 can be eliminated. On March 19th, 2021, the Governor's Finance Office submitted Budget Amendment A214974691, which eliminates registration fees of $12,000 and community college payment category expenditures of $12,000 in each year of the 21-23 biennium. The amendment implements the agency's request to eliminate Decision Unit E227. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of Budget Amendment A214974691, which would eliminate the additional funding to subsidize costs of motorcycle safety courses as it is not needed by the community colleges in Decision Unit E227?
Questions? Yeah, Assemblywoman Tolles.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I was just curious if the reason they don't need the subsidy this time around is because they had to cancel classes through COVID, and if we think that they will need it again in the future.
Ms. Hoppy, do you know, or do we need to pull somebody up from the department?
Mr. Chair, I would suggest asking the agency to respond to that question.
Great. If we could have somebody from the agency come forward.
For the record, my name is Pete Vanderay, the Deputy Administrator of the Office of Traffic Safety. And thank you for the question. To answer, it's not necessarily a matter of COVID. We contract with the 3 community colleges in the state. Each one operates independently, and prior to each budget setting season, we reach out to them to determine if they are at least cost neutral, meaning that their revenues support the costs of operating those programs. In the past, we have had to subsidize these programs due to NRS 486-373, where the cap on the amount that can be charged to a resident is set at $150. There have been times in the past when revenues from the colleges or collected by the colleges are not adequate to cover their costs. In this particular situation, we typically reach out to the colleges who are under contracts with the Department of Public Safety to determine their fiscal status to ensure that they remain whole, that they are at least at a cost neutral point. And in this particular case, the two community colleges, College of Southern Nevada and Western Community College, both indicated that there is not a need for a subsidy at this point.
Assemblywoman Tolles, does that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. And just to understand that the motion that we're taking right now is not to eliminate any future subsidies, it's just to acknowledge that we didn't need them this cycle, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. If there are other questions, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of Budget Amendment A214974691, which would eliminate the additional funding to subsidize cost of motorcycle safety courses as it is not needed by the community colleges in Decision Unit E227.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to other closing item or other major closing item 4 on page 23 of your packet. The governor recommends motorcycle safety fees revenue of $5,200 in each year of the 21-23 biennium for instructor certification for a new circuit rider course in Nevada. Fiscal staff asked the agency for supporting documentation and further clarification to explain the need for this additional training. In response, the agency requested elimination of this decision unit. The agency indicated that the Motorcycle Safety Foundation is currently in the process of reviewing its curriculum for this course and is not offering it at this time. The agency noted it would request this training in the next biennium if available. On March 19th, 2021, the Governor's Finance Office submitted Budget Amendment A214984691, which eliminates motorcycle safety fees of $5,200 and mobile classroom category expenditures of $5,200 in each year of the 21-23 biennium. The amendment implements the agency's request to eliminate Decision Unit E228. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of Budget Amendment A214984691, which would eliminate the funding for instructor certification for a new circuit rider course in Decision Unit E228?
Questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of Budget Amendment A214984691, which would eliminate the funding for instructor certification for a new circuit rider course in Decision Unit E228.
Second.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And finally, for the motorcycle safety program budget on page 24 are 5 other closing items. Fiscal staff recommends all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Any questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I recommend that all other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and request authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I will now begin presenting the 3 budgets which the subcommittee has not previously reviewed for the Department of Public Safety and for which fiscal staff is responsible for developing closing recommendations. I will pause following my presentation of each budget to allow for questions. When I have presented the last budget in this group and questions have been addressed, the chair may wish to ask for a single motion for closing consideration on all of the budgets for which fiscal staff is responsible for developing recommendations. On page 25 is account 4729, the State Emergency Response Commission, which consists of members appointed by the governor representing government, private industry, and the general public, whose mission is to protect Nevadans from the negative effects of hazardous materials. There are 3 other closing items in this budget, and staff is happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to page 27. This is account 101-3819, cigarette fire safety standards and firefighter support. The Cigarette Fire Safety Standard and Firefighter Protection Fund was established as a special revenue fund for the purpose of supporting fire safety and fire prevention programs. The State Fire Marshal Division oversees the testing requirements and performance standards for fire safety of cigarettes sold or offered for sale in the state of Nevada. There are no major closing issues and no other closing items, and staff is happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Don't see any. Go ahead and continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next budget on page 29 of your packet is 101-4687, traffic safety. This budget passes through federal grant funds received by the Office of Traffic Safety. Funding is provided to support the operations of the office, local government agencies, local law enforcement jurisdictions, and private nonprofit entities for traffic safety problems in their jurisdictions. There are no major closing issues. There is one other closing item. The governor recommends adjusting the special use categories in this budget to align with the special use categories in the Highway Safety Plan and Administration budget. Fiscal staff has included a technical adjustment in this closing document to transfer $4 in each fiscal year of the 21-23 biennium, which was mistakenly left in an old special use category to the new special use category. And with this technical adjustment, this decision unit appears reasonable. Staff is happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes the 3 staff closing budgets. The summary statement is on page 31 of your packet. Fiscal staff recommends the following budgets be closed as recommended by the governor with the technical adjustments noted, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary. For the State Emergency Response Commission budget, the Cigarette Fire Safety Standard and Firefighter Support budget, and the Traffic Safety budget, including a technical adjustment to Decision Unit E225 to transfer $4 in each fiscal year of the 21-23 biennium, which was mistakenly left in an old special use category, to the new special use category.
All right, any questions? Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the following budgets to be closed as recommended by the governor with the technical adjustments noted, and request authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary. For the State Emergency Response Commission, the Cigarette Fire Safety and Firefighter Support and Traffic Safety, including a technical adjustment to Decision Unit E225 to transfer $4 in each fiscal year of the 2021-23 biennium, which was mistakenly left out in an old special use category to a new special use category.
Second.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, I think we're going to the Parole Board, and I believe that's going to be Mr. Speed. Is that right?
That's correct. Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Dustin Speed, Fiscal Analysis Division for the record. This morning I'll be discussing the Parole Board, which is budget account 101-3800, which starts on the top of page 33. The State Board of Parole Commissioners is responsible for evaluating eligible inmates for parole to consider whether the release of the inmates is compatible with the health, safety, and welfare of society. Pursuant to Nevada Revised Statutes 213108, the board is a full-time board that consists of a chairman and 6 commissioners, each appointed by the governor. The commissioners conduct monthly inmate hearings in person or via video conference at each prison location throughout the state, and conduct parole violation hearings for those parolees alleged to have violated the conditions of their parole. The parole board is supported entirely by the general fund. This budget has no major issues and 7 other closing items, which appear reasonable to staff. Fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 7 be closed as recommended by the governor and requests the authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Do we have any questions? Okay, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I move for other closing items 1 through 7 be closed as recommended by the governor and request authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Miller, second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. And I think that's it, right? Thank you very much. We got, we covered all the budgets for today. We have our next item on the agenda, which is public comment. So if we could, BPS could queue up the first public comment.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. The public line is open and working. However, there are no callers at this time.
Okay, why don't we give it 30 seconds just in case somebody's there and they haven't heard it yet, because we're still in the future to them.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair. Broadcast standing by. Chair, there are no callers at this time.
Great, thank you very much. With that, that is all the business that we have to come before us today. Thank you, members and staff. Great work today. And with that, we are adjourned.